Thank you for joining us today. I'm Bruce Goldstein, President of Farmworker Justice. Welcome to the Facebook Live program series, The State of Farmworkers in America in the COVID-19 era. Farmworkers have been designated essential workers to ensure our food security during the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet their working and living conditions create grave risks to their health and economic status. These programs will raise awareness about the serious challenges the pandemic imposes on farm workers and their family members each and every day. The series will identify impactful work and innovative ideas being carried out by Farmworker Justice and other organizations that represent and serve farm workers. We'll be taking a few questions from our Facebook message board during this live broadcast. Now, let's turn to our guest, Dolores Huerta. Dolores Huerta is president of the Dolores Huerta Foundation. She is a co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, and we are very, very pleased to have Dolores as our guest. Thank you and welcome, Dolores.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you for having this Facebook.
It's our pleasure. It's great to have you here. And belatedly, happy 90th birthday. We saw a lot of people celebrating with you.
Thank you. And we'll be doing an online celebration sometime in May. I'm not quite, we have a tentative date that, but I would like to give that to you later and the time so that you would do us a favor and get it out to all of your folks out there, okay, so they can join us because this 90th birthday celebration and we're going to have some celebrities on that celebration also. So we hope it will be entertaining and the people will like it, and we want everybody to join in.
That's great. We're happy to do that. So tell our audience a little bit about what the Dolores Huerta Foundation's mission and activities are.
Well, our mission is to empower communities, people in those communities, so that they can improve not only their lives, but also build the kind of political power that they need so that they can get the type of representation that they need so they can address the challenges in their communities. And we've had tremendous success. We have 19 chapters now in the Central Valley of our organization. And they have been able to accomplish wonderful, wonderful things like getting gymnasiums built in their community, bringing in swimming pools, bringing in parks, electing themselves to be on different boards, school boards, city councils, recreation boards. So it's about getting people to take power and to make sure that we can, get rid of the racism and oppression that exists, especially in our farm worker rural areas.
Well, thank you. And you and your organizers are in many places in the Central Valley in California where many, many farm workers are. What are you and your team seeing and hearing about the challenges that farm workers are facing regarding COVID-19?
Well, we have had farm workers that have died from this COVID-19 virus, unfortunately. And the reports that we have is that unfortunately, many of the workers are not getting the type of protections that they need at the workplace. We have agribusiness in California, so sometimes the employer of a 2,000-acre ranch will be living in the Bay Area in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and they're not out there in the fields with their workers. And that, of course, is what is missing. The one good thing that we do have is that we do have laws in California to protect farm workers when they do get sick. We have a disability insurance for farm workers. We have also a great healthcare system in California that really covers most people if they are legal residents or they're citizens of the state, and actually covers undocumented children up to their 20s. So we have a great governor, as you know, Governor Gavin Newsom, who last week announced that they not only will they be giving additional help to all immigrant families, but especially to the undocumented. And I think we are probably the only state that's going to be doing that. And by the way, some of the laws that we have in California, like workers' compensation, they do cover workers even if they are undocumented, and if they get sick on the job, they are covered for the time that they're sick. They will have their doctors will be paid for, and their time lost will be paid for.
It does seem that Governor Newsom does care about the immigrants and poor people who are especially vulnerable during COVID-19, and has taken a lead nationally in being responsive, providing, working with the legislature to provide health services to undocumented immigrants and others. But that's certainly not happening with the Trump administration. It's not happening in most states. So what do you attribute the success that you've had in California with Governor Newsom and the state legislature? What have you done to achieve those goals?
Over the years, as you know, we've had a lot of good voter registration drives and getting good people elected to the legislature. So we have some great leaders, Anthony Rendon, a Latino, who is the head of the state assembly here. We have great people like Senator Maria Elena Durazo, who is now a senator. She was formerly the head of the Central Labor Council in Los Angeles, and also a vice president of Unite Here, which is the organization that represents people who work in the hospitality industry, people that work in our hotels and other places like that. And she has been a great leader also in this effort, as have the other immigrant rights organizations. And we did a big mail campaign to the governor for about 3 weeks before he came out with that statement that they would be giving some type of funding and help to undocumented people. And that is great. I think it's basically the power of organizing, Bruce, that makes this happen.
And that's what you're all about, is organizing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of anxiety and fear among immigrants, poor people, farm workers, because of COVID-19 and because of the circumstances many of them are in. What do you tell farm workers and their families about the situation they're in, about what they can do about it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is trying to remove the fear. We will be, the funding for the undocumented workers is going to go into effect on the 1st of May here in California. And our job between now and then is just to, make sure that people understand that they can apply for this funding and not to be afraid, because we know that fear is one of the biggest factors that we have. And that's understandably so, because all of the attacks that President Trump, aimed at especially at Latinos and Latino workers. So that's going to be our big task. We have that problem right now. We're working on the census. Before we were doing door-to-door work, now we're doing home banking for the census. But making people understand that if they do not get counted, and I hope that everybody that's listening on this program right now will help us in this, because it's not only a California problem, this is a problem for all of the states, that if our undocumented people do not get counted, we are going to lose millions and millions of dollars for schools, for hospitals, for infrastructure, just exactly the kind of assistance that our people need. And so just making people understand not only that they are important, we know they're important. Thank goodness now, even some of the national media is saying, yeah, farm workers are frontline essential workers and they need to be attended to. So I think if all of us just keep putting that message out, contacting our legislators, then we could make sure that people get the help that they need. And then, of course, addressing our undocumented community and tell them, don't be afraid to step up. You can be counted. You can help bring resources into your community. And you are a very critical part of our society. And we need you.
Thank you. Farmworker Justice has been working with the United Farmworkers Union and Líderes Campesinos de California and many other groups to advocate for government policies and funding to address the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been arguing that employers should be required to provide adequate sanitation and allow physical distancing, and to not put people into crowded housing, not to transport people in crowded buses and vans. We've been advocating for immigration reform because so much of what happens to people in this pandemic is made worse by the fact that they're undocumented. We're advocating for testing, more testing, to be in rural and farm worker communities. But you've been at this a long time, and we appreciate your advice about what we should be doing right now to address the COVID-19 pandemic that will address farm workers' needs and their families' needs right now, but also build for the future.
Well, I think once this crisis is over, and that we have to start thinking about how can we make all of these state legislatures give the kind of protection to farm workers that we have here in California. And when I say that, I'm talking about the unemployment insurance laws that we have. There are only 2 states that have full unemployment insurance for farm workers, and that is California and Hawaii. There are only, and I think, again, I'm not sure about Hawaii, but I think California is the only state that we have disability insurance for farm workers. So when they get sick, that they are also covered, just like they are for unemployment insurance. And we're the only state that has a full workers' compensation coverage for farm workers. Maybe Hawaii does also. That means that when they get sick, that they're going to get paid the time off. Their doctors are going to get paid. And even if they're undocumented, they are covered by workers' compensation. So I think all of the listeners out there can start thinking about what kind of work can we do, what kind of advocacy can we do to make sure that farm workers are covered. When we see the report now that we have had people that have been dying in packing sheds, because they got the COVID-19 crisis. We saw, I think in Colorado, we had the poor people that died in a packing shed there. And when we see that there was another packing shed where 600 of their employees also got sick with the COVID-19. All of a sudden, when these reports come out, we can say, hey, the food industry is the most important industry in terms of our country because, we have to eat. And the people that provide that food, the packing house workers, the farm workers, these are the people that need to get protected. So now I think it's a good time right now for everybody to convey an email to the governor or to the state legislature to say, hey, how about these farm workers? Well, how about these packing shed workers? These are part of the essential food industry. And they not only are they not being protected today, but they're not being protected in the future to make sure that they're covered by these benefits that all industrial workers have.
Yes, I mean, we and you and many others are trying to take advantage of all the statements by these politicians and business leaders saying, well, these workers are essential. And this industry, the food and agriculture sector, is essential. We have to have these workers working during this virus. It's time that we recognize their value. It may be an opportunity to raise awareness about the value of farm workers and better insist that they be treated not only better, but equally with other workers and improve on that. And encourage the workers to organize themselves, because really that's the only way farm workers have ever really achieved anything, is by joining together, organizing, and winning collective bargaining, and getting together as a group to demand policy change.
Yes, as bad as this crisis is, I think that we can take opportunity of the crisis to call attention how important healthcare is. And in many states, as you know, that the healthcare is for everybody is pretty poor. It's not, again, like as good as it is in California. And this is a good time to bring that to the attention of your local politicians and say to them, hey, it's about time we improve our whole healthcare system, especially for our food industry workers. So we know there's a saying in Spanish that says, no hay nada tan mal que algo bien no sale. And in English it says, there's nothing so bad that something good doesn't come out of it. Well, there's something good that could come out of this crisis, especially for farm workers, just to remind everybody, okay, that these invisible workers are the ones that are feeding us, and they're the ones that need to be taken care of. And so calling upon them to put this on their agenda, to let's make a big political effort to get farm workers covered with health care, but also with these other things that they don't have now in these other states, like disability insurance, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, the things that they need, the safety net that they need, not only when they get sick, but also when they're unemployed.
Well, now our listeners know their marching orders is to organize to win these things.
Right.
So we'll wrap up. I really want to thank you, Dolores, for joining us today. It's very kind of you. I know you're incredibly busy, but we're very honored to have you as a guest. So I want to tell our listeners that we will be broadcasting each day this week. And our next show is going to be discussing health policy with our colleague, our Director of Health Policy and Programs, Alexis Guild. On Wednesday, our guest will be actor and humanitarian Nicholas Gonzalez of ABC's The Good Doctor. He's the national spokesperson for a campaign to help farm workers during the pandemic. On Thursday, we'll be discussing immigration policy with our senior staff attorney, Iris Figueroa, who leads our immigration policy work. On Friday, our guest will be the mayor of Coachella, California, Stephen Hernandez. He comes from a farm worker background. He'll be giving us his insights on the challenges from COVID-19 and the efforts they're making in the major agricultural production area of the Coachella Valley. Farmworker Justice is carrying out essential work on labor, immigration, occupational safety, health. We can't do it without your support. Your tax-deductible donations make our work possible. Right now, we have a challenge grant. An anonymous, generous donor is willing to give us $30,000 if we raise $30,000 through your donations. So visit our website, www.farmworkerjustice.org, where you can donate, but you can also find a wealth of information about all the issues that we've been talking about today. So thank you very much. Best wishes to everybody. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.